Today, we're diving into something every regenerative grazer, homesteader or small farmer should know about forages that work like medicine for your cows, and like restoration for your soil. This isn't just about pasture. This is about building a living pharmacy right under your herd's hooves. These plants help treat parasites, boost milk, improve fertility, support calving, reduce bloat and more. And best of all, they also rebuild your land while they're at it. We're going to walk through powerful forage plants explaining what they do for your animals and what they do underground. Let's get into it. In conventional grazing systems, we often rely on chemical dewormers, supplements, antibiotics, and even costly vet visits. But ruminants have evolved for millions of years with the ability to self-medicate using diverse plants. When your pasture is biodiverse, when it includes plants with tannins, minerals, and deep roots, your animals get healthier and your soil gets stronger. These forages offer resilience, not just yield. Now let's explore some of the medicinal plants your cows and your pastures will thank you for. Let's start with plants that help reduce internal parasites and support gut health. Two of the biggest challenges for cattle, especially calves. You might know chicory as that bright blue wildflower on the side of the road. Chicory isn't just a nutrient-dense forage, it's a natural dewormer. It contains bitter compounds called sesquiterpene lactones, which disrupt the life cycle of internal parasites. Multiple studies have shown that cows grazing on chicory have lower fecal egg counts, improved weight gain, and better feed conversion, all without chemical drenches. But chicory doesn't stop at gut health. It's high in zinc, potassium, and magnesium, supporting immune function, milk production, and nervous system health, especially important during stress, breeding, or weaning. Chicory grows a deep taproot, sometimes reaching 2 to 3 feet. That root breaks up compacted soils, brings calcium and trace minerals up to the surface, and improves water infiltration dramatically. In compacted or drought-prone paddocks, it can literally punch through the hardpan and restore structure for the grasses around it. It also promotes mycorrhizal fungi, especially when grown with legumes, improving soil microbial life and reducing erosion in sloped pastures. And here's something a lot of people don't know. Chicory is a natural tonic for cows after calving. Grazing it postpartum supports the liver and helps flush the system after the stress of birth. Old-time graziers in Europe swore by it. It's a short-lived perennial, so overseed it every 2 to 3 years and pair it with a companion like white clover or plantain for better pasture balance. Bird's foot trefoil. Next is bird's foot trefoil, and if you're not already planting this legume, you might want to start, especially if bloat is a concern in your herd. Bird's foot trefoil is unique among legumes because it contains condensed tannins, plant compounds that bind with proteins in the rumen. That might sound technical, but here's why it matters. It reduces the risk of bloat, improves protein absorption, and helps cows gain weight more efficiently. That makes it a game changer in rotational grazing systems, especially when you're finishing cattle on pasture. Those same tannins also have an anthelmintic effect, meaning they help control internal parasites. Studies have shown cattle and sheep grazing on trefoil pastures have lower worm burdens and improved average daily gains, without the need for chemical dewormers. But here's what regenerative farmers really love. Trefoil does well in poor, acidic soils where other legumes struggle. It fixes nitrogen, like clover or alfalfa, but it tolerates low fertility, drought, and even moderate salinity. It also has a non-aggressive growth habit, so it won't choke out your grasses, making it ideal in diverse polyculture pastures. It's perfect for seeding into hill country, marginal land, or thin soils where clovers just won't take. Plus, bird's foot trefoil is palatable even when mature, unlike many legumes that get woody. So your cows will keep grazing it even in midsummer, which keeps your pasture cycling and your animals gaining. Once it's established, it comes back reliably, often for a decade or more. That's a quiet kind of resilience that's hard to put a price on. Sainfoin, a forage that's as beautiful as it is powerful. With its tall pink flower spikes and deep roots, sainfoin has been a staple in European grazing systems for centuries. What sets sainfoin apart is its extraordinarily high levels of condensed tannins, even more than bird's foot trefoil. These tannins bind to proteins in the rumen and have two major effects. They prevent bloat, and they kill internal parasites. In fact, several studies have shown that sheep and cattle fed sainfoin had significantly lower worm counts, including barber pole worm, and even reduced fecal shedding, which slows parasite cycling in your fields. And because those tannins protect protein from being lost as ammonia in the rumen, Animals on sainfoin pastures often show better growth rates, improved feed efficiency, and even enhanced fertility due to higher amino acid uptake. Sainfoin is a deep, tap-rooted perennial that thrives in alkaline, well-drained, and drought-prone soils, which makes it a great choice for arid or high-elevation pastures. It fixes its own nitrogen, like other legumes, but it doesn't depend heavily on rhizobial inoculants, a rare trait that makes it valuable on land where clovers or alfalfa underperform. Its roots improve soil structure, prevent erosion, and create microenvironments that encourage fungal and bacterial diversity in the rhizosphere. That's a huge win for soil health, especially if you're transitioning from a conventional system or rehabilitating worn-out fields. Sainfoin honey is considered gourmet in parts of Europe. If you run bees, planting sainfoin adds a premium nectar source that blooms longer than clover. There's one catch. Sainfoin is a little picky about competition. It doesn't do well in high grass stands, so it's best grown in dedicated strips or in mixes with short grasses like crested wheatgrass or orchard grass. But for dryland graziers or anyone tired of fighting parasites the chemical way, sainfoin might be one of your best investments. Sericea lespedeza is a bit of a controversial one. In some regions it's considered invasive, but for cattle farmers dealing with parasite pressure and poor soils, it's worth a consideration, especially when managed carefully. Sericea lespedeza is a non-bloating legume that thrives where other forages fail, in acidic, infertile, and drought-prone soils. Its claim to fame is its condensed tannin content, which is among the highest of any forage legume, and that means powerful medicinal benefits. Research shows that grazing cattle, and especially small ruminants like goats and sheep on Sericea, have significantly reduced gastrointestinal parasite loads, particularly Haemonchus contortus, the barber pole worm. It doesn't just suppress worms, it can actually reduce egg viability, helping break the parasite cycle in your pastures. That makes it a phenomenal option for low-chemical or no-chemical parasite control, especially in systems with young stock, dairy goats, or sheep. But there's more. Sericea also shows antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties, and farmers using it in finishing systems have reported improved weight gain and lower fecal scores in late summer pastures where other forages decline in quality. Sericea lespedeza fixes nitrogen, of course, but its real superpower is in soil rehabilitation. It grows well in degraded, compacted, or eroded land and helps stabilize slopes thanks to its dense, fibrous root system. It can establish where few other forages will, making it a solid choice for restoring marginal or abused land. It also supports pollinators, with summer blooms that attract native bees and butterflies. And it's high in biomass, which contributes to organic matter when managed with rotational grazing or mowing. Sericea has allelochemical properties, meaning it can suppress weed growth around it, something to consider. In short, Sericea lespedeza is a hardy survivor, a natural dewormer, and a soil stabilizer, but it requires smart grazing management to keep it from taking over. If you're dealing with tough ground and high worm loads, this is one forage that can fight back. Plantain. Not the banana look-alike, but the humble little broadleaf plant you've probably seen growing in your driveway cracks in between gravel. Plantain is one of the most medicinally powerful forbs you can add to pasture, and cattle seem to know it. In fact, when given access to diverse forage, many cows will actively seek it out when they're stressed, sick, or recovering. Plantain is naturally high in aucuben, a compound with anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and wound-healing properties. It's a traditional herbal remedy for diarrhea, respiratory issues, and even urinary tract problems. And the same benefits carry over into livestock health. Studies have shown that grazing on plantain-rich pasture can reduce the severity and duration of scours, especially in calves. It's also high in zinc, which supports immune health, and calcium, which helps muscle function and bone strength, particularly important during lactation. Plantain has a fibrous root system that's shallower than deep-rooted forbs like chicory or sainfoin, but still incredibly effective. It improves topsoil structure, aeration, and moisture retention, making it a valuable player in soil building, especially in overgrazed or compacted paddocks. And here's where it gets interesting. Plantain contains biological nitrification inhibitors, compounds that slow the breakdown of nitrogen in the soil. That means more nitrogen stays in the root zone for plant uptake, and less is lost to leaching. This makes plantain an excellent companion in mixed swards, where you're trying to improve nitrogen efficiency without adding synthetic inputs. Cattle also benefit because plantain has a high mineral content and remains palatable during hot, dry weather, when grasses often go dormant. It helps keep pasture intake steady during summer slumps, and its diuretic properties support kidney health, which is why some graziers call it nature's electrolyte. And one last thing, plantain is tolerant to close grazing, quick to regrow, and easy to establish by frost seeding or interseeding into existing pastures. It thrives in diverse swards with ryegrass, clover, and chicory. If you're trying to build a medicinal meadow, plantain isn't just a filler, it's a frontline healer. Yarrow, a plant more often associated with old herb gardens than pastures, but don't underestimate it. Yarrow isn't just a wildflower or a weed, it's a medicinal powerhouse for both livestock and land. Named after Achilles, yes, the hero from Greek mythology, yarrow was said to be used to stop bleeding in wounded soldiers. And that gives us a hint at one of its biggest benefits. It contains compounds like achillin and flavonoids that act as natural anti-inflammatories, antimicrobials, and vasodilators. When cows graze on pastures that include yarrow, they're getting small but potent doses of compounds that boost circulation, help detoxify the liver, and even relieve gastrointestinal distress. Yarrow has also been linked to improved respiratory health, and is sometimes used in herbal treatments for mastitis in dairy cows. And unlike many medicinal plants, yarrow is actually quite palatable, especially to cattle and goats. They seem to know when they need it, selectively grazing it during times of stress or illness. From a soil health standpoint, yarrow is a deep, tap-rooted forb that mines nutrients from well below the reach of shallow grasses. It pulls up calcium, magnesium, potassium, and even copper, all of which get cycled back into the topsoil through grazing and manure. In this way, yarrow acts like a natural mineral pump, enriching your soil over time without needing off-farm amendments. It also acts as a natural pest repellent in the pasture. Its aromatic oils can help repel insects, not just around the plant, but in the environment overall. That means fewer flies and biting insects around your cattle and reduced stress during fly season. Yarrow's flowers attract a wide range of beneficial insects, including predatory wasps and lady beetles, helping balance pasture ecosystems. And because it spreads through rhizomes, it creates a living carpet that helps control erosion and suppress undesirable weeds. And here's a little-known bonus. Yarrow is a natural compost activator. If you're making manure tea or compost piles from barn waste, adding yarrow can help accelerate decomposition, balance carbon-nitrogen ratios, and increase microbial activity. It's tough, drought-tolerant, thrives in poor soils, and once it's in your pasture, it stays put. If you're looking to add resilience, health, and natural healing to your grazing systems, yarrow is one of nature's oldest allies. You probably think of garlic as something for the kitchen, not the pasture. But this bulb has a long history as a medicinal powerhouse for livestock and humans. Garlic contains allicin, a sulfur-based compound with powerful antibacterial, antiviral, antiparasitic, and antifungal properties. When fed to cattle, whether as part of fresh forage, dried supplement, or added to feed, garlic supports the immune system, helps fight internal parasites, and can even reduce the incidence of respiratory infections. One of the most talked about benefits in recent years is garlic's effect on flies and parasites. Studies have shown that feeding garlic powder or incorporating garlic into pasture plants can reduce fly loads by altering the smell of a cow's sweat and manure. Fewer flies mean less stress, less tail swatting, and more time grazing, which directly impacts weight gain and milk production. It's also been linked to better reproductive health thanks to its blood cleansing and liver supportive properties. And because of its natural antifungal action, garlic may help reduce hoof rot and other fungal skin issues in wet climates. Garlic is part of the allium family. These plants are known for their antimicrobial root exudates. That means they help suppress pathogenic fungi and bacteria in the rhizosphere, potentially reducing soil-borne disease pressures, especially in compacted or poorly drained soils. Its strong aroma can also help repel harmful insects and even rodents from pasture margins, barn edges, or compost piles. And here's something most people don't know. Garlic is allelopathic. It can help suppress weed seed germination around it, giving you cleaner lanes and edges without herbicides. Plus, it's a deep feeder with a fibrous root system that improves soil tilth, enhances drainage, and helps cycle nutrients like sulfur, selenium, and magnesium. Minerals that directly benefit cattle health when returned through urine and manure. Garlic can be interplanted in diverse pasture swards or grown in dedicated strips. Some regenerative farmers even interseed it with winter rye or clover to add resilience and provide late fall or early spring grazing bites that double as herbal medicine. A quick tip: if you're not planting it directly, feeding powdered garlic at a rate of 1 to 2% of daily dry matter intake has been shown to be safe and beneficial in ruminants. Just make sure you're using real garlic, not synthetic garlic flavoring, to get the full medicinal punch. So if you're looking for a forage that functions like a natural dewormer, fly repellent, and gut health booster, garlic may be one of the most underrated tools in your regenerative toolbox. Wormwood, often found growing wild in dry, marginal soils, has been used for centuries to treat digestive problems, parasites and fevers in both humans and animals. And for cattle, it can be a game changer, when used sparingly and wisely. Wormwood contains absinthin and artemisinin, compounds known for their strong anthelmintic or antiparasitic properties. These are the same compounds found in some modern herbal dewormers. When cows graze small amounts of wormwood, or are fed it in controlled doses, it helps control internal parasites like nematodes, lungworms, and liver flukes, which can otherwise drain productivity and damage gut health. Unlike chemical dewormers, wormwood doesn't trigger resistance buildup. That makes it especially valuable for regenerative graziers trying to reduce reliance on pharmaceuticals. And because wormwood also acts as a digestive tonic, it can stimulate appetite, reduce bloating, and support liver function, especially during seasonal transitions or after illness. But, and this is important, wormwood is extremely bitter, and in large amounts, toxic. It should never be the dominant forage. Instead, it works best as a targeted inclusion in a diverse pasture or as a spot grazing option for self-selection. Livestock are surprisingly intuitive. They'll often nibble wormwood when they feel off or need a cleanse, then avoid it once their system is balanced. Wormwood is highly drought-tolerant, thriving in poor, sandy, or alkaline soils where many forage crops fail. Its woody, perennial root system anchors fragile topsoil and improves erosion control, especially on hillsides or arid regions. It's a valuable option for reclaiming degraded land while providing targeted health support to your herd. The aromatic compounds that make wormwood medicinal also act as natural pest repellents. Insects, nematodes, and even rodents tend to avoid areas where wormwood is growing. That can create natural insect buffer zones in silvopasture systems or along the margins of rotational paddocks. And here's something few people realize. Wormwood leaves, when used in compost or manure piles, can inhibit pathogenic bacteria during the early stages of decomposition. Farmers in Eastern Europe have long added wormwood to bedding and compost as a kind of natural hygiene booster for their barns. If you're raising organic or grass-fed cattle, integrating wormwood into your grazing plan, even in a limited way, can provide a vital layer of defense against the parasites and infections that often flare up in closed herds. Just remember, a little goes a long way. Think of wormwood like a natural vet in your pasture. Bitter, bold, and best used as part of a well-balanced mix. Milk, fertility, and calving support. Let's move on to forages that support reproduction, calving, and milk production. Red clover. It's not radical, but what you may not realize is that red clover isn't just a protein-rich forage. It's also a powerful medicinal ally for cattle and a remarkable soil builder. Red clover contains isoflavones, natural compounds that act similarly to estrogen in the body. These help regulate reproductive cycles, especially in female animals. While high levels can be an issue in overgrazed monocultures, in a balanced, rotational grazing system, red clover can enhance fertility, particularly in animals that are mineral deficient or under reproductive stress. It also has blood-cleansing properties, helping detoxify the liver and support the lymphatic system, both of which are crucial for cows exposed to environmental stressors, weaning transitions, or recovering from illness. One of its lesser-known benefits is its use as a respiratory tonic. Traditional herbalists have long used red clover to help clear mucus and support lung function. For cattle, this translates to better resilience against respiratory infections, especially in cool, damp climates where pneumonia can become a herd-wide issue. Red clover is also high in magnesium, calcium, and trace minerals, all of which help prevent conditions like grass tetany, particularly in the spring flush. And unlike many legumes, red clover tends to be more palatable, even during its flowering phase. Red clover is a nitrogen-fixing legume, meaning it partners with rhizobium bacteria to pull atmospheric nitrogen into the soil, replacing synthetic fertilizer inputs. 1 acre of red clover can fix up to 150 pounds of nitrogen per year, feeding not only itself but also neighboring grasses and forbs. Red clover also boosts soil biology. Its roots exude sugars and secondary compounds that stimulate microbial life, including fungi and mycorrhizae. This contributes to better nutrient cycling, more stable carbon storage, and overall pasture health. And here's something most graziers miss. When left to flower, red clover attracts pollinators, especially bumblebees, which are essential for the reproduction of many wild and cultivated plants in your ecosystem. Plus, the flowers are edible and medicinal, for humans too. Just remember, to avoid bloat, it's best to graze it with mature grasses or limit its share to no more than 30 to 40% of the pasture mix. We've got more ahead in our next video. Did you learn anything new about plants that might already be in your pasture? What could you intentionally add to support your cows and your land? You don't need to plant all. Start with a few, like chicory, trefoil, and plantain, and observe. Let your cows teach you what they need. The pasture isn't just feed, it's medicine, it's fertility, it's resilience. Thanks for watching. If this helped you, hit that like button, subscribe for more regenerative farming tips, and let us know in the comments, what forages are you growing for health? See you next time.